Hey everybody, welcome to another edition of APM Help Academy. Today we're going to be talking about the maintenance request along with vendors and the bills in Buildium. This is a super common area of property management, so it's important you become familiar with this in the Buildium software. Let's get started. What I'm going to first touch on is how the maintenance requests come in. And one of the most common ones you're of course going to see is from tenants. So I'm going to pretend I'm a tenant here and sign in as one, and I can give you a little snippet of how that looks. So if I go over here to the, this is the home page of the tenant's portal. If they want to submit a maintenance request, they can go right over here to request and create request. Okay, now before I navigate it over here, you guys probably saw it. It's on the home page as well. And in the Resident Center app by Buildium, it is pretty clear as day of where they can submit it. So I could also create it from here as well. And it will say, how can we help you today? And they can submit a maintenance request or a general inquiry. So, in this case, most people are just going to put in a maintenance request. And then from here, the tenant can fill out the information. What's the category? Is it HVAC related? Does it have to do with keys and locks, lighting? And by the way, these categories can be, customized in another part of the of your software, which I can touch on in a little bit. But and then they could put the subject, something of the course likes of electric problem, like light isn't working, bedroom light isn't working, something like that. They can attach any sort of files. Now, the attachments would typically be photos for the most part. A lot, tenants, taking photos, maybe something else in particular. To ask, do we have permission to enter the property? They could submit yes or no. Ask, and if they do select yes, it's going to ask if they have pets and any other notes they want to put about the entry. And they can go ahead and click submit request. Now, on your side, what shows in your account is it's going to come up as a task in Buildium. Every single maintenance request submitted by a tenant comes in as a task. Okay. So if I go to all tasks now, we're going to see that it pops up right here, just submitted at this time. All right. And what you can do at that point is go into the task itself, and you could give updates to the tenant as well. I could, submit an update here, where I could put the status as, in progress, when's the due date of this task, assign it to a staff member in particular, any collaborators as well, a little message, to the tenant, we have a vendor coming at this time, or something like that. Any attachments, and I can share this update with the residents and with the rental owner too if I want to. So that way they all get emailed. And then I can save and share that with them. Okay. This is required here that I can click save and share, and that updates, the people involved. Okay. So that's something you can do there. Now, another thing that you can do is if you're someone who, wants to maybe email a vendor by using Buildium, what I can do is I can create a work order. So you'll see this tab right here that says work orders. Go ahead and click add work order, and then from here, put what the subject is, need light fixed, something like that. Okay, I can select the vendor involved here. So just for the sake of this, we can just put like this right here, this a vendor profile that's already been created in the system, but we'll touch on that in a bit. Entry preference or entry details, right? Entry contacts, the work to be performed, give a note about that, any notes from the vendor, the status of this thus far, and the due date of the work order. And then this is the big part right here. There's the parts and labor. So a lot of times these are estimates, right? Invoice number and charge work too. So for the parts and labor, you could put supplies a lot of times, or, I might have a GL account that says electrical work. Put the price in here, $25, the work, estimated at 80, something like that. And then I can go ahead and save the work order. And I have the option right here. I can email the vendor if I want to. Now, this is an optional thing. if I were to check mark this right here, it's going to email the vendor, and I can show you what that email looks like actually. It's under the automated email settings. And if I click on work order email right here, this is what the email would look like. These are tokens, of course, so they would be filled in automatically, but the email, if you're curious as to what it would look like, this is what it looks like right here, if you ever need to see it. All right. And at that point, I can save the work order, and that's all put together now. Okay. So I have the tenant's maintenance request. I have the work order submitted. Now, let's just say the work has been completed and all is well. And now what I want to do is I want to enter a bill, okay, to actually like charge a property for it. I can go ahead and mark this as completed. Let's see, I'll update the task. Yes, I want to update the task. It's going to be completed as well. There's an option right here to enter a bill right from this screen. So this way it's directly connected to the work order, and it automatically fills out what I put in the work order itself. Now, work orders sometimes are not the exact cost. You know, it could be an estimate of some sort. So you can change this at any time, however you want to. But at that point, you know, I can keep it on the property itself. You know, what I'm charging the property. You know, anything you want to change about the bill itself. You can, you know, if there's an actual invoice you got from the vendor, I can make an attachment right here and attach that invoice, and then go ahead and click save. All right, and my bill is now created. Now, if I want to go ahead and pay this bill, I could just go ahead and click right here, view unpaid. It will bring me right to the unpaid bills page. Here it is right here. You click on the bill itself, click on pay bill. And from here, you know, you have some options, right? Maybe in the real world, you want to give the vendor a check. So if you did give them a check, you'd want to, you know, click on that, select the bill you're paying, right? In this case, that's what it is. And we're going to click prepare payment. And then I could put a check number, or I could, you know, queue the check for printing and print it from Buildium. You know, that is if you're using local check printing in your own office, or if you're using Buildium's remote check printing add-on service, you'd want to queue the check for printing. But if you're just handwriting it or something, I wouldn't select this, and I would put the exact check number that I hand wrote. So maybe it's check number 785, right, that I sent out in the real world. And you can go ahead and click confirm payment. All right. Now, if I had EFT enabled, there's also an option you'll see that you can pay a vendor by EFT if you prefer as well. So you could do that straight from this page too. Okay. You, of course, would need to enter in the vendor's account and routing number info in order to be able to do that and have ePay enabled on your bank account. Yeah, so that's a little bit how to, to get a maintenance request, create the work order, go ahead and enter a bill. It's all connected in that way. Now, just to keep in mind, if I were to go ahead and create a work order instead of just creating a task, anytime you create a work order, keep in mind it automatically creates a task. That is by design in Buildium. So if I were to come to the work order page right here and create a work order, it actually would automatically create a task. Or I could add it to an existing task, okay? So those are always connected. You have to have a task in order to have a work order, in other words, okay? Now, something I want to touch on here real quick. Now, there's other types of maintenance requests that can come through. Or not even maybe a maintenance request, but rental owners can submit requests as well. So I'll show you how that looks. They also come in as tasks. All right, guys, so now I'm about to sign in as a rental owner and show you what it looks like if they submit some type of request that comes in as a task. All right. Now, if you are a administrator in your Buildium account, you can sign in as any tenant or owner at any time. All right, so now this was what the page looks like if I'm a rent owner and I'm signed into my portal. I would go over to request, and similar to a tenant, I would click add request. And this one's a little more straightforward because, what they might be submitting for a request might not necessarily be a maintenance request, but, just some type of general like inquiry. like need update on something, like need update on work order or something like that. They can write a little description in. Please, contact me about work. I'll just do something like that for this example. Okay. They click submit, and that now comes in on your account. All right. So I'm going to go to task, all task. It might actually make me sign right back in because I signed as the owner, and it looks like it is. So just bear with me one sec, guys. I'm going ahead and I'm going to log back in. Okay, guys, so you just saw me submit a request as if I was an owner, and that will now come in under our task. And you can see that right here. And it will show up as a rental owner request, so you know it's coming from the owner. Now, I'm not going to show the example for the other type of request you might get, but if someone goes through your Buildium website, like the free one that they provide, and someone submits a request through there, it will come through as a anonymous user. So keep that in mind if someone does submit a request through the free website that Buildium provides you. All right. But other than that, pretty much everything else comes in as a rent owner request or resident request. All right. You could even create your own to-do task, some sort of reminder. And the contact request, you can go ahead and create those as well. Someone just made a request by some sort of contact in particular. All right. So that's a little bit about the task. Okay, guys. So we saw how to navigate through here in order to create tasks and create work orders and then create bills and pay bills. But there's a lot of things connected here that you probably saw. And I kind of want to touch on those a little bit, because one of the areas that's going to be very important is your vendor list. Okay. So if we want to manage our vendors, what we got to do is click on maintenance vendors. And this is going to be a super important area in Buildium because this can get pretty stacked up with a lot of names over time if you don't organize it well or inactivate people and you need to. Managing if they're 1099 eligible. I highly recommend using Buildium for 1099 filing because it is amazing at it. Especially for the 1099 NECs. So from here, I can add vendors simply by just clicking on that. Okay. And then filling out the information here. If you need to upload a lot of vendors at once, there is an area to do that. Settings, import data. Okay. You can go navigate here. Upload data file. You can see vendors right here. Keep in mind though, vendors can only be deleted if they have no financial data under their profile. If they have any financial data whatsoever, they cannot be deleted. They can only be inactivated, which is fine because if that financial data is legitimate, I wouldn't recommend deleting anything. Just inactivate the person at that point if you don't need them anymore. If I need to edit a vendor's profile in any way, I can just simply click on the vendor's profile and then edit any information I need to right from here. What's really important is this area right here, 1099 NEC tax filing. A place like Buildium, for instance, doesn't need to be 1099 as they're a registered corporation. So if we go ahead and just exclude from 1099 like that, they won't even pop up as an option anymore. Okay, looks like we got a fake one in there. We'll just get rid of that. Okay. And then now they're excluded and they won't pop up as an option to be filed for. It just keeps the organized list really clean when you go to file for vendors at the end of the year. So managing the vendor area, you can see is very, very straightforward, very simple. Buildium makes it easy to kind of manage this area. And it is super important to have this list, updated at all times because it's going to be directly connected to how you record your accounting in Buildium, how you record the maintenance requests and the work orders. So, this list is super important. And especially, like I said, filing those 1099s at the end of the year, you want this really well put together. Okay. So moving on to, if you need to make a task manually, you can certainly do so. So if someone's having a hard time submitting a maintenance request or any sort of request by any means, and they just don't know how to do it, or they don't have access to it, you can certainly do it for them by just simply coming to the task page and just click on add task, and I can put it as a resident request, rent owner request, and I can fill it out for that person. So that's certainly an option if you want to do that, okay? And then you just fill out the information from there. And once you do create it for them, like if I created a request for a resident, it would email them automatically just to let them know I've created it for them. One thing I want to go back to and touch on too is the vendor profiles. So just to go back to the vendor profiles, if you did need to manage their financials, you might have saw it, but I'll go ahead and just touch on it real quick. In a profile of a vendor, if you want to see their financial history, it is just right on this tab right here, financials. Click on that, and it will show all the transactions I've ever recorded related to that vendor. And it will tell you what type it is, a bill, a check, a refund, whatever. And if I need to edit their account and routing number info, I can do so right here by clicking on ePay settings. And so if I want to pay a vendor by ePay, this is exactly where I can edit their info. I just click on that part of the financials, and it will let me enter in their account and routing number info. Now here it says apply for EFT because we don't have an EFT account here at APM. But if you have one, you'll be able to add EFT info under that vendor's information. Account and routing number, of course. So that's just a little bit about the vendor profiles. Okay, guys, so speaking of vendor financials, one thing I wanted to touch on again is creating bills in Buildium. So you saw me earlier in the video create a work order, and then that work order can then become a bill, and that bill is now connected to the work order. Now, I have plenty of clients that maybe don't want to use the work order feature, for whatever reason, they might have different systems in place on how to communicate work being done by a vendor and then them giving them an invoice at the end of it. So the work order thing might not be something you necessarily need, and that's okay. So if work has been completed on a task because it's a maintenance request by a tenant and that work has been completed and now I need to make a bill, that is totally fine. It doesn't need to be from a work order. I could simply just go to accounting and then bills. I can go ahead and just record a bill. All right, I can attach the invoice here. I can put the date that the invoice was given to me, when that invoice is due to the vendor. This is very important about these dates, because the date here is simply indicating when was that bill, in your hands. Like when did it hit your hands or hit your desk, whatever. This is the date of the invoice, okay? And then the due date, of course, is when the vendor expects to be paid by. All right. So maybe they're giving you a little bit of time to pay that. Select vendor. Now, what's cool here is I showed you the vendor list earlier. I can also add vendors from here, simply just from creating a bill, which is pretty cool. Okay, so I'd go ahead and select the vendor in this case. That's from an automated, kind of something in the vendor's profile. So then you can fill a reference number of that invoice if you want to, a little memo about it, fixed plumbing problem at, so-and-so property. And then go ahead and this part here is very important because we want to select the property or the owner, in other words, that we're charging. Okay. So the owner of, let's say, Franklin Street here, we need to charge the owner of this property. That's where the work was done. Now, if you're really into unit financials, it's a property that has multiple units. You can select a specific unit. Buildium added that feature not too long ago. But if you're someone who doesn't really, care about your unit by unit financials and you're just simply focused on the property, we can just simply choose property level, the type of work here. In this case, I'd like a GL account called plumbing. That's just me. But in this case, we'll just choose repairs and then go ahead and put the amount of the invoice. All right. I just save that. That puts the bill right in the software. It's ready to go. So once I'm ready to pay that vendor however I want to, I'll go ahead and mark it as paid. Okay, in most cases, you're going to pay a vendor by check or ePay, Buildium ePay. And then I can go ahead and record that right here by simply clicking on the bill here, or just use the pay bills up here. And you'll have two options if you have EFT enabled. So I would see by check, and then I would see another option by EFT. So I just wanted to point that out because you don't need a work order to create a bill for a type of maintenance request. It's not required by any means. But can you do it? Absolutely. That's if you want to use Buildium's work order system. Okay. And that's a little bit about the bills section. All right, guys, I hope you learned a little bit about the maintenance requests and the vendors and bills section in Buildium. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Check us out at apmhelp.com. Reach out if you need any help at info@apmhelp.com. And we appreciate you watching. Thanks, guys.